What's going on?
We're lost in the woods.
There's a logging truck behind us. What?
Yeah, well, our plans for heading out onto Crown Land and enjoying a nice long walk have been blocked a little bit. Apparently someone's doing some logging, and we're not allowed to go there. So we have to find some alternative route in the bush and not encroach on them. So we're just gonna bushwhack.
Who are you? What are we doing here?
Oh, I'm Pine Martyn from the Pine Martyn YouTube channel, and Kevin has invited me out here to do a whiskey fireside chat with him.
Have we decided where to have this fire? It's getting cold.
Yeah,
Martin,
yeah.
Come on, let's hurry up and decide.
We want to get into an acoustic shadow away from the road noise if we can. So
Shh, don't tell everybody we're that close to the road.
Oh, too late. We've got some hardwood here that we can cut down, so
Yeah.
let's go with that. I brought an axe, and I have a silky saw.
Okay.
And what did you bring?
I brought the camera to film you doing that. No, I'm just joking. I'll help you. What was that comment?
I said, look at your pack. Look at your pack, sitting in the snow. All your gear. This is how it's done. Just put a stick right through here like this. There you go, and that keeps your pack up out of the snow.
I knew it was a bad idea to go out with this guy. It's cold and windy and snowy. It's beautiful. I got us a spot. It's good. That was where my pack was.
It was actually pretty close. So has Christine done much?
Were you going to ask me about my girlfriend?
Yes.
We can't talk about that on film.
Okay, never
It's a very
mind.
personal thing. I'm going to talk about a saw. I got this new saw for Christmas. I'll put it together for you. It's the Esker Bush. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Esker Bush saw. Uh-oh. Like this. See, I'm doing this while he's doing all the work behind me. Uh-oh. I think I have to loosen that, don't I? I'll get back to you. Eventually we will going to get a fire going and have a whiskey. Or maybe a tea. There we go. Alright. So the idea behind this is you crank it like this to tighten it. And by the time I get this all done, Martin will have all the wood cut with this little tiny saw. So that seems tight enough, I think. One more. No, I think that's tight enough. Cool.
Awesome.
Looks good. Looks like what I know I'm doing.
Very charismatic tool, that is.
Did you already cut the wood? Oh. I need to tighten it more. It's bouncing around. Oh, yeah, put the saw blade towards your crotch, Kevin. That's a good idea.
I'll do your pack.
It's still more tight, I think. Are we out for a couple nights, or?
Depends how much energy you've got.
I think this is full of frozen water, actually. Yep. Yeah, some frozen water in there.
Oh, well. Not burning so well.
Oh. Well. Whew. It's warm now.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do one, you do one. There we
What was that, Martin?
I said, from what I've been told about these saws, you need to tighten these up more than you think you should to make sure that that blade is really tight and doesn't flex.
Yeah, it was bouncing a bit when I was doing it.
It's a little better, yeah.
You see, when you go out in the bush with Mr. Pine Martyn, or Martyn Pine, we'll figure that out during the whiskey chat. He hangs your pack up, he grabs your saw, fixes it, cuts all the wood. He's a wild man.
Tarzan.
The fire's all ready for you to light there, Martin.
Oh, thank you. I have to say, Kevin, spending a day in the woods with you is really economical on calories for me.
What was I thinking?
All that sawing.
I could have slept in. So you got the birch bark?
I got the birch bark. I got some balsam fir twigs and a bottle of water to make some tea, so that we don't have to melt snow. This is for you.
Oh, I brought whiskey.
Yeah, I know, but this is my gift to you.
That's good whiskey.
It's great.
We'll do an exchange program.
That's a Merry Christmas present.
Really? Okay,
Yep.
well, just a minute here. Wait.
Oh, Glenmoray, Speyside,
You know that?
single malt.
Really?
I know of it by reputation.
Oh,
I
good.
have never savored this.
Okay, near right. That's why.
Oh, well, let's crack this one.
I thought I would bring that one because we're doing something on Crown Land, and doing something on Crown Land, it's always questionable whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Whether you're going to find a campsite, whether you're going to get lost,
Right.
whether you're going to find a beautiful oasis. So that's why I got that whiskey.
There's the oasis right there. Yeah, let's crack this one. You say the other one. That's lovely.
What was that?
I said, how did you want to do this? Do you want to do an upside down fire lay so it burns from the top down, or a more conventional start a little fire and then add to it and build up? I always like the top down, upside down fire lay.
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
I got something for me to sit on.
Awesome.
Did you bring something?
I have a piece of Reflectex.
Yeah?
Yeah. Out of the Home Hardware or Home Depot or any hardware store heating and duct section. Comes in big rolls. It's nice and cheap.
Well, Santa gave me this.
And well, that probably insulates better, honestly. But
Actually, no.
look up some big pieces. Here we go. This is some pretty rotty wood, Kevin.
You cut it. Oh no, that's mine, isn't it?
No, you harvested this. You gathered this from somewhere. Okay, maybe not so much with that one.
Yeah, it's lousy hemlock too.
Yeah, I just like having a few splits in there. They catch a little faster. Okay.
What was that?
I said I like making this style of fire because generally all the prep work you put in beforehand saves you having to fuss with it later. You don't have to constantly add fire to it, add some wood to it, and stir it around to avoid getting smoke. It tends to make a fairly unsmoky fire, and it's self-fueling. The parts that catch on top drop coals and embers down onto the material below. And as long as you make it nice and gappy like this, in a kind of sloppy log cabin, it'll just keep fueling itself, so you don't have to keep adding to it.
So Martin, how long have you been doing this?
You mean backcountry camping?
Yeah.
Geez, pretty much all my life. I grew up in rural Quebec, and on the shores of the Ottawa River, actually. And it was nothing but bush behind the property where I grew up. And it was mostly private land, but it was mostly private land that belonged to relatives or people that I knew. It was a small town. So from when I was a little kid, my friends and I would just go on these little overnighters. We would just either go winter camping or summer camping. We would make quinzies in winter, and we'd go tenting with these cheap Canadian Tire tents in the summer. And that's where it started. And then years later, when I met my wife, we took some really extended trips. We camped in Big Bend in Texas. We hiked and camped in the Grand Canyon. Hiked along the Whole River Valley in Washington State up to Blue Glacier in Olympia Park. We've canoe camped in the Everglades with the alligators and the crocodiles. Been doing this all my life, so this is what I love to do most of all. This is my biggest passion, just spending time outdoors. Just doing this kind of thing, just fussing, making a fire on a mild winter day like this, so much fun. Couldn't ask for a better day. Not making that up either. This is just so much fun, just playing in the woods.
I think you just made fire, Martin.
What did I say about a smokeless fire? Now, if we'd been smart, we would have had this ready. This pot would be more or less boiling by now.
I know, there's only a certain amount of hours in this day, you know.
I know. And the days are short in winter.
Well, that looks good.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There we go.
Finally got the fire going.
Oh, come on, Kevin.
You got some tea going. We should have a wee dram while we're waiting.
I think that's a great idea.
All right. Here. You hold the cups.
All right.
And while we're doing that, why are we on Crown land? We shouldn't be in a provincial park right now with a nice, great, and manicured campsite.
Yeah, well, the difficulty with that is you'd have to make a reservation if you were going to be camping. You'd have to book it probably well ahead of time, although not necessarily at this time of year. And you'd have to pay to be out here, and then there are things out here that you can't do when you're on Crown land. God.
Cut! He's rambling on and on.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll ask you the question again.
I'm totally distracted by the whiskey. Oh, I like the sound of that.
You do the first test.
Oh my God. Oh, you don't measure it out either.
Just a little bit of test tasting. Test tasting.
Will you hold this, sir?
Yes.
All right. Hang on.
Flavor it first.
I was going to say, this is going to take a moment.
All right. I don't even have a certain amount of battery in my camera.
We're planning.
I can't wait for you. Oh, that's smooth. It's a little smoky. Or maybe it's the fire. Oh, and there's afterburn.
Wow, that's nice.
There's some afterburn, but pleasant afterburn.
No afterburn. Mild, all the way down.
Maybe it's what I had for dinner last night. All right, cheers.
All right, cheers.
I had to check the camera. It's getting a little cold. The battery isn't doing well. So hurry up and tell us. Why Crown land?
Why Crown land? Because you don't have to book. You don't have to make reservations. You don't have to keep to a schedule. You can move whenever you like or stay as long as you like in a spot, up to 21 days. You don't have to keep to a schedule because you're worried that you've booked a site or you've booked a lake and other people are expecting that spot to be free after you said you were going to be gone. So your travel can be more spontaneous. You can also go out more spontaneously. You don't have to book and discover, oh, I can't camp on that lake, or I can't visit that area, or because it's all booked up because it's a busy time of year, like in August or something like that. When it comes to Crown Land, there's nobody there. You just go, you just show up, and you're unlikely to meet anybody. So they can be as remote or as proximate to a population center as you like. You don't have to worry that you're going to be bumping into crowds. When I go out on Crown Land, it is uncommon for me to see anybody. I will sometimes see evidence of other people who have gone in the area if it's sort of a well-known route. But also, you have the fun of making your own campsite. So if you're going into an area of Crown Land and there's an established campsite, obviously you want to use that one because you don't want to dot the landscape with new campsites. But very often, let's say we were camping here. We wanted to camp here. We thought this was particularly scenic and we wanted to stay here, or this is as far as we wanted to travel and we wanted to make camp. You have to make camp. You have to decide where your fire pit's going to be, where your tent pad's going to be, where you're going to string your tarp, where you're going to hang your food, where your latrine's going to be, as opposed to in a provincial park where you're effectively moving into a wilderness hotel where all those decisions have been made for you. The latrine is here, the fire pit is there, there's a tent pad for you. It's all sort of laid out for you. I find I get a greater sense of exploration and discovery. I'm finding a place and I'm going, yeah, this is a perfect place to camp. No one's camped here, right? It's kind of a virgin territory to explore and to move into, and you feel like you are living in that place as opposed to temporarily occupying a wilderness hotel. I really, really love that feeling. I feel like it delivers to me a more authentic camping experience, something closer to what our ancestors would have experienced when they were moving from one locale to another and had to make camp. I love the feeling of like, it's getting late, we need to make camp, and then, well, there's nowhere. Just make a bush camp. And I love that, and it doesn't have to be heavily impacted. In fact, the whole part of the point of Crown Land camping is, oh, water's boiling.
We have a bowl. We'll get back to you. Now that seems like a lot of work.
It's not a lot of work. It's play. When I first started camping and I was an inexperienced camper, I liked moving into a site where everything was cleared, where the fire had to go and the tent pad was sort of done for me. But once you've had some experience with that, you'll discover that if you go out on Crown Land and there's no place to camp, you'll look around and you go, well, this is a nice place. It's just there isn't a flat spot, there isn't a clear spot, so you'll have to clear some dead wood. You'll have to gather some rocks for your fire ring and so forth. You'll have to think about where your latrine's going to go. It doesn't take a long time. You're just going to walk around and go, okay, I can hang my food bag from that tree. I could put the latrine over there, not too close to camp, out of sight of everybody in the camp. That's a flattish, levelish spot. Yeah, I just need to clear that fallen tree and the debris and the ground litter that's there, and I'll have a nice spot for my tent pad. There's an area in the trees that's just open enough that if I cut or snap off the lower twigs and branches, I could string a tarp and I'll be sheltered from the elements. That really feels wonderful. First of all, it's play, right? It's not work, it's play. Let's face it, when you're camping, you're playing and you're relaxing. And that is soothing, relaxing work. And there's just enough challenge and problem solving involved that you are exercising your brain in a way that your brain is well adapted to do. Our ancestors had brains that were adapted and suited to the problem solving challenges of survival, right? Of finding shelter, of finding food, and finding a place that is safe and secure. Well, we have those same brains, and there is pleasure in doing that. I mean, why would I go out with you on a day like this and say, hey, let's cut up some standing deadwood and make a little fire and boil some water so we can have a cup of tea or coffee? I mean, that sounds like work, right? But it doesn't feel like exercise to me. It's play. I enjoy doing it, and it's the same thing. Making a campfire is fun, and so is making a campsite fun.
It's getting cold! Get that fire going!
You can trade places. You can sit close to the fire.
Okay, no, I'm good. I'm good. So it's not for everybody. I mean, if we had everybody camping on Crown land, it wouldn't be what you're talking about.
No, that's right. I mean, part of the allure of Crown land camping is you're moving into a place and exploring a place that isn't populated, that isn't well traveled, where there isn't a trammeled and beaten down campsite, right? I mean, some people really want to experience that, even when they are always going to park. So part of the experience that they would like to have is that Crown land experience. If everyone did it, well, it wouldn't be the same. Every place would look like a very well-frequented site in Algonquin Park, for instance.
Yeah.
So it can't be like that. But there's no worry of that. There is not a concern that there's going to be too many people out there doing this, right? I'm more concerned about people who are reckless and irresponsible. I mean, I'm not worried about a backpacker or a canoeist or a family on a canoe trip who want to explore Crown land and make a bush site. That is just, I mean, nature is just going to erase their presence from ever having been on that site in a very short time. So there's, I mean, people lived for hundreds of thousands of years in areas for which there is simply no evidence of them left. I'm just not worried about that, and I don't think people do need to worry about that. There is an ethic involved. There is an ethic involved, though, and the ethic is to try to approximate the leave no trace ideal. Now, leave no trace is an ideal. You can never actually leave no trace. If you move through the woods, you're leaving a trace. If you camp in an area where there is ground vegetation, where there are ferns and stuff like that growing, and you are just making your camp, you're going to and fro from where the latrine is to where the fire pit is, you are going to wear a little trail in that vegetation, right? And there will be signs of your having passed through. So there's, strictly speaking, there's no such thing as leave no trace. People think that that they are actually succeeding at leave no trace because typically they are practicing leave no trace principles in areas where there is an established route, there is an established campsite, and the damage has been done, and they are not in any way significantly adding to that impact. But when you're going out into virgin wilderness, anything you do is leaving a trace. So what you want to do is leave as little trace as possible. You want to make it look as if no one has gone there. You don't have to cover your tracks. You just have to be conscientious about the impact that you're leaving. So on my channel, I have videos on how to locate Crown land, the ethics of Crown land camping, the do's and the don'ts, the best practices, including minimizing your ecological footprint.
And what's that channel?
The channel is called Pine Martyn, P-I-N-E, and then Martyn with a Y, M-A-R-T-Y.
Yeah, so I'm confused with that because your name is Martin Pine, but it's spelled different than Pine Martyn? No.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's because
it's a freaking snowstorm around it. Where have you got myself into here? Oh, let's just go for a walk in Crown land camp. I don't even know where I am.
Two things. This isn't a snowstorm, and this was your idea.
Oh, that's right. It was my idea. There's also rules about Crown land, how many days you stay.
Yeah.
What's with that? And also, if you're an Ontario or Canadian citizen or not a Canadian citizen.
Right. Okay. So right now we're camped on Crown land in Ontario. So we're on Ontario residence, which means we can camp for free. We can spend up to 21 days in one location, and then you have to move 100 meters. And why is there sort of this absurd rule of you have to move 100 meters after 21 days? It's so that people won't start squatting. They want to discourage
squatters'
squatting.
rights is now no longer.
Right, yeah. So yeah. They want to preclude the possibility of someone making a camp and essentially making it permanent. Next thing you know, they got a cabin there and declaring it their own. So the rules are you can camp for up to 21 days, and then you have to move 100 meters. That's it. But that just ensures that people are not going to build permanent structures, which you're not allowed to do on Crown land. You can't build permanent structures. You can cut down standing deadwood. You can cut down even small trees and saplings and stuff like that if you want to build a tripod or something like that, or practice a little bit of your bushcraft skills. You're allowed to do that, but you can't build permanent structures, and you're not allowed to start cutting down trees for the purposes of resource extraction. So you can't say, well, I'm going to cut, oh, look at this, all this Crown land, look at all this standing dead wood. I have a fireplace at home, I'm going to start, cutting down trees and taking it home on my ATV. No, that's not allowed. You're going to get busted for that. So you can't do that kind of thing. Another thing you can do on Crown land, though, is if you're into things like wild plant identification, mushroom identification, and stuff like that, you're allowed to harvest some of that. In a provincial park, you're not supposed to harvest. I mean, if you find wild garlic or wild leeks or something like that, you're not supposed to pluck that there. But on Crown land, you are allowed to harvest some of that, right? You ethically. Again, you have to be responsible in what you're harvesting and gathering, but you're allowed to do it. So there's just more freedom on Crown land, and that's why I like it. And then I guess the other big reason is I like the sense of exploration. If you go to my website, or not my website, but my YouTube channel, I have videos there that give sort of detailed information on how to locate Crown land using the Ontario Crown Land Policy Atlas.
Hey, check it out. It's really good.
Yeah.
Well, the map isn't. It's very confusing.
Yeah, no, the online policy atlas is actually not user-friendly. It isn't intended for the average user. It's intended for people who sort of work in resource extraction and mining or forestry management and stuff like that. So it's not intended for us. So it's not particularly user-friendly. But I made a YouTube video that shows you exactly how to do it with walkthrough, screenshot by screenshot instructions on how to locate Crown land that's closest to you.
I'll put the link here. That's what you do in YouTube world.
In here,
right here. I don't know where that is.
Okay.
But you always say, I'll put it here.
Or at least in the description.
Yeah.
So if you go there, you'll see that I have videos on how to locate Crown land. And one of the nice things about locating Crown land is you don't say, okay, I found some Crown land, I'm going to go camping. No. You go on a reconnaissance mission. Once you've located some Crown land, you go out, you find a place to park nearby. It might not be right at the doorstep of where the Crown land is. It might be at a boat launch nearby. It might be at a park nearby. It might be at a plow turnaround or something like that, where you leave your car and then you go on an exploratory hike. You bring your map, your compass, your GPS, your Google satellite images and stuff like that, all of which I explain how to use in that video. And you go out and you explore and you look to see what there is to see and what there is to find. And almost every time my wife and I go out, we find some place where we go, oh yeah, this would be a lovely place to camp. And we have found all kinds of unnamed lakes and streams, and sometimes we just go there for a day hike, sometimes we just go for an overnighter, sometimes we go for an extended trip. But it's just incredibly rewarding because you are filled with that sense of exploration. When you go to a place like Killarney, or you go to a place like Massasauga Provincial Park or Algonquin, or any of those places where there are canoe routes or hiking trails, you are following an established and prescribed trail, and you know that you need to get at this destination because that's where the campsite is. It's all laid out for you. When you go on Crown land, it's not necessarily like that. You're hiking, you're exploring, you are navigating by GPS and map and compass, and man, it is so much fun because you don't know what you're going to find. And sometimes you find these little gems. And so my YouTube channel also features some examples of us exploring and hiking and some of the things that we found and beautiful spots that we've been to. And it's terrific. And it's so nice to know that no one else has been there. This is your spot. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this and have been for years making videos about this is because I want other people to go out there and find these places and discover them, because as soon as you discover a place like that, it feels like it's yours.
It's like a trout stream.
It's like a trout stream that nobody else, and you will protect it. And if you hear that someone wants to encroach on it and wants to build a logging road through it or something like that, if there's any action to be taken politically to protect that land, no one will protect it because no one gives a damn. But you'll give a damn. And so the more people are out there exploring Crown land, and this land is ours. This is not some dirty little secret that nobody knows about that you're not allowed to do. You're not gaming the system when you do this. Crown land is our land. We're allowed to use it this way. And I encourage people who want to use it for low impact recreational usages like this, like camping, hiking, canoeing, kayaking, snowshoeing, winter camping, to get out there and locate some as close to you as possible or more remotely and explore it, and you're just going to be so filled with a sense of discovery and exploration. It's fantastic fun. It's terrific fun. I have not camped in a provincial park in about a decade.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Get the fire going, man. It's cold.
The water's boiled. The water's boiled.
It's a snowstorm coming in, I hope we get out today.
Okay. I was wrong about this.
He's a potty mouth.
I was wrong.
As soon as I turn the camera off. Anyway, sorry. You need to make a point about, yes, that Canadian citizens get it for free, but...
Yes, if you're a U.S. citizen or you're not a resident of Ontario and you want to camp on Crown land, there is a fee, and I think you said it was $12.
I think it's $12. It used to be $3, and actually they shouldn't have risen it, in my opinion. That pissed off a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
And ruined tourism, to be quite honest, but that's my opinion.
But it's free, and so it's fantastic. Take advantage of it, because if I want to go camping with my wife for 12 days or something like that in Algonquin Park, and it costs, it's been a long time since I've been there. How much is it a night back up to camp?
$22.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I do know that if you're going with a big family for a long amount of time, it is expensive.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's $22, what, per person?
Yeah.
22 per.
Yeah.
So just my wife and I go for 10 days.
But if you had 6 kids,
that's $400.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's more than $400, right? And if you had a bunch of kids, it'd be even more.
So basically, you're very cheap.
I am extremely frugal. Frugal is the word. I'm frugal. I'm cheap. But it makes a difference. It makes a difference to how long you're going to stay out there. Another thing I want to mention actually is a lot of people are concerned about, well, what if I go out there and explore some Crown land and I don't find a place to camp? Well, how bad is it when you go out on a hike and you're not looking to camp and you don't camp? Not a bad day in the woods, is it? Just hiking and exploring in the woods, right? Well, that's what happens when you decide, I'm going to do some reconnaissance. So if anyone's interested in like how you find Crown land, how you locate a spot to camp on, and how you find a canoe route of your own, or basically make a canoe route of your own, I've got a series of videos on that, or at least a couple of videos on that. So you can check those out if you like. So I really want people to get out there, because I know that the only thing that is going to prevent Crown land from eventually getting just parceled off for resource extraction or sold into private and commercial interests is if we value it because we've explored it and we've fallen in love with it. You're not going to protect, you're not going to be moved to protect and preserve something you don't know because you've never been there. So in order to protect it, you have to care about it. In order to care about it, you have to have been out there and fallen in love with it. So by all means, go out there and explore it. And if you do Crown land camping, it doesn't mean you're never going to do any other kind of camping. You can continue to do car camping. You can continue to do backcountry backpacking and canoe tripping along established routes. You can mix and match, but I think there's something quite novel and interesting to be had from Crown land camping. And if you don't know where to start, check out my YouTube channel where I have all those instructions on how to find some, or check out Kevin's books, because that's how I got my start. Were it not for Kevin and his paddling guide series, I would not have known about Crown land camping. I would not have visited the first Crown land canoe routes that I did and completely fallen in love with it.
Good Lord, that was a perfect speech.
Woo!
And I ran out of whiskey, and we can't have any more because we're driving. We're not sleeping here tonight. We should have actually camped over, but we're having tea.
We got tea.
And please put some wood on the fire. I'm freezing, man. Holy gee. I cut all that wood for you. You can tell it's just like smoking embers.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what, Kevin.
Yes?
Cut some more wood.
Okay, no, it's good. It's good.
Keep you warm. It'll keep you warm.
Oh.
I'll come back and get it. Don't let me forget this.
I just got that on film.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
I'm getting my pack off the tree. That's a good idea. All right. We're good?
We're good? All right.
We're good. Oh, come on. Everybody knows I got to go back and get the camera.